Hey guys, I wanted to let you know that I have a brand new show on YouTube. It's called Sorted. I host it with Rob Ferretti, Amelia Hartford, and Tanner Faust. It's an old school magazine style tuner car shootout. We've got an East Coast regional, a West Coast regional, and then the winners of each will meet in the middle to duke it out for the Sorted Grand Prize. You can check out the whole thing at sortedornot.com, where we'll be posting new episodes every Tuesday and Friday. And the whole thing is possible thanks to our friends at Auto Tempest, who have really stepped up in 2020 to support this type of independent video production. Hey folks, welcome to my Safari 911 built by Lee Keene and the Keene Project. It is time for an update. It's been a while and we haven't had many updates. I had the car finished by Lee and his people down in Atlanta. We took it to TLG Auto because of an untimely but necessary engine service that was needed. We needed to have the top end rebuild done, and so TLG did the bottom end rebuild while they were at it. That was almost 2 years ago, 19 months ago, and ever since I've just been driving it. But I wanted to go back and after I had really gotten used to it, learned its goods, its bads, and see what it might need going forward, I went back to Marco at TLG for some drivability updates based on some complaints I had. Now, rather than me try and explain the ins and outs of these to yourself, let's take it to TLG, where Marco has my engine apart. This was last week, and he can explain to you exactly what we needed to do.
Essentially what we're doing is we're moving the power band of your engine out of the upper end of the RPM band and further down the tack. So when we first initially did this build, I had a vision of how the car was going to be used, and being really short, I never got a chance to drive the car prior to taking it apart. So I was operating on an assumption rather than all the information. The thing about this particular car is it has a G50 transmission, which in and of itself has longer gears than we'll call a 915 gearbox. Then you add to it taller wheels and tires, and you effectively lengthen the gearbox even further. And so, with the cam choice that we had made for this project, you have to really go fast to get the horsepower. Like,
Yeah, we've got basically a sports car cam.
we do. We have a cam that would be great, for a car that was going out road racing.
Yeah. Oh boy, phone's ringing, dude.
Hold on. And in this car, to get to where the power band is, you're either running the nuts off the car or you're going too fast. What we needed to do is we needed to make the car more like a single-cylinder dirt bike, a brap, rap, rap, rap kind of car, right?
Yeah, rally cars need rally car power bands, and if
Right.
you're talking about even like a WRC car. WRC car makes like 300 horsepower and 500 pounds of torque.
Yes.
So that's kind of what we need out of it.
Yeah, I was expecting this thing to be in the dirt, sliding around most of the time, where you're up in that power band with the tires spinning and the
Right.
car, sideways. But that's not how this car is an urban assault vehicle, which is a little different. So what we did was we put different camshafts back in it, and we timed them in order to move the power band south.
Yeah.
So hopefully
it's more drivable.
it's not only going to be more drivable, but hopefully it's more fun to drive. Like, it's more of a brap brap as opposed to, like a wind it out kind of motor.
And then my other complaint was with the clutch.
Yes.
When Lee built this thing, he put an assembly in it that was designed to make the 3.2 engine rev freer, with
Which
a
it
lighter
does.
flywheel, which
Yep.
it does,
Yep.
which caused some other problems on cold starts that have since been remedied. But I have bad fucking knees, and so actually driving it around in traffic hurts my body, whereas I don't need to clutch kick it,
Right.
every weekend in the dirt. And so what are we going to do about this clutch situation?
So since we're changing the camshafts with the motor in the car, there's no reason. The clutch you have is a great clutch. It's a sport clutch. It's what you want. It clamps harder and the flywheel is lighter. So what we're going to do is we're going to change the slave cylinder. And we're going to put an aftermarket slave cylinder in it that's designed to make the clutch effort lighter. So anyone out there who's had like,
It's gonna sound dumb.
No.
Do I have an assisted hydraulic?
It's a hydraulic clutch.
It is a hydraulic clutch.
It is not hydraulically assisted. It is a hydraulic clutch. There's no cable. It has a master cylinder and a slave cylinder.
But no power assist booster.
No, none of that. No.
So the master cylinder, the pedal compresses the master cylinder, which then shoots things into
To the slave
fluid,
cylinder.
The slave cylinder.
Correct.
Then squeezes.
Which then moves the pin, which pushes the TO bearing
so
fork.
Changing the slave cylinder is not the cylinder that I'm pressing the pedal with.
No, it's the one on the
other
bell
one.
housing. Yeah.
So what is that going to do?
It puts a larger piston in there, and so it moves. If I remember correctly, it moves more volume to decrease the pedal pressure.
Huh. Okay.
Yeah. So.
And who makes this unit?
A company in Germany called MPL. Okay. So essentially, anyone out there who's ridden like a Ducati with a hydraulic clutch, the stock clutch slave, when you use the lever, like after an hour of riding, you get wrist pump, right? So the same thing happens with your leg in this car with the way that it's set up. So what you do is you buy an aftermarket slave cylinder for your Ducati, which would be like an STM or an MPL or some other company. MPL happens to make slave cylinders for Ducatis, and I guess maybe the owner had a 993 or a 964 or something like that, and then they designed the slave cylinder also. We've put this slave cylinder in a CTR that we did work on, and it was like beautiful. So
okay. So I have the same effectiveness of flywheel and clutch that we had with Lee's plan.
correct. That does not change.
But my knees won't hurt as much.
That's the key.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's all I want. I don't want to not have a cool clutch. I want my knees to
Yeah, so the performance of the light clutch and flywheel will remain the same, but it's about pedal effort and, saving your body. So, because this is an urban assault vehicle now, so we want you to be able to drive it in traffic and then just go over the curbs. And
it's my daily driver.
Well, I know.
It's my daily driver. Like, I'm not too proud to be like, I only go in the dirt once in a while, but I drive to the grocery store a lot. Like, that's how it works.
I get it. No, that's the point. But again, when we went into this, I had the wrong idea in my head. Like, I made a mistake, and I'm fixing my mistake.
You made a mistake. I think you made a choice of cam that most people who come to Marco and say, build me a hot rod engine would choose.
Well, that's fine. But again, my mistake was the choice of cam based on application. I had the wrong idea of the application. So anyway.
So fortunately, we don't have to take the engine out of the car. In fact, the cam's already back in the car.
Correct. I did the cam installation and cam timing yesterday, and Armando's finishing up.
The valve cover's off.
Yep. And the dirt from El Mirage is still in there.
It's still a little dusty in there, yeah.
Yeah, it's time for a WCCS cleanup.
You know what? I actually was training the guys to do engine details, and I think does the AC compressor normally sit
the bracket and the compressor will sit right there.
I think it's a little blocked. I think we got to work on our engine detailing. But
well, you guys got the top part of it, but
did you find anything else?
A couple of rocks and
anything else that needed addressing while you were in there?
No, the car was wonderful. Even the plugs look good.
Great.
So we're not going to make any major changes at all.
Great. All right. Well, I think I should go back out to today, air quotes, today, and see how the finished car drives. Bye, Marco. All right, now that we know we needed to change the cam to move the power band down to where I would use it more, as well as change the clutch slave cylinder to give me less pedal effort, let's see how those mods work by just taking a quick spin around the street. Fire it up. Fires up on first crank right away. It's running beautifully. The first thing we notice when we fire it up is that it's a little smoother and less hot roddy. It doesn't sound so beasty anymore, but because of the light flywheel, it's still got really, really good response, and it's really snappy. So let's go for a quick little drive, shall we? The clutch just right away is not super light, but it's probably half the weight that it was before. It really is an enormous difference. I've got 2 bad knees. I've had 2 patellar tendon tears. And look, if I got to hold 1,000 horsepower with a clutch, I understand why that clutch might need to be heavy and require a lot of effort, but the fact is, we're talking about like a 220 to 250 horsepower engine. There's just no reason for that. So the power band a little different. Now it feels much freer to rev and make power below 4,000 RPM, and the sort of cam phase switch that happened up above 5,000 RPM is not there anymore. So that last bit of top end power that we got from the aftermarket cam, that's now just a flat power band from 2 on up. So now when I wind it out from like 2,500, it doesn't feel like it's dragging an anchor. It almost felt like heavy, like it was dragging itself before. And now that power is it feels more free. And the downside is I don't get the cool hot rod idle anymore. That's the trade-off. But what happens when you put a hot rod cam in your car is you're trading off. You can't just make more power out of nowhere with a cam. By making more power at the top end, it's going to take away some of the torque on the bottom end. That's why you don't want to end up in a situation where you put a cam in the car that makes more power, but every day driving it actually somehow feels slower. That's happened to me with my Mustang back in the day. I learned that lesson. And it happened to me with the 911 because we put a traditional sports car cam in it. This is a legal U-turn. Traditional sports car cam, where in fact a more stock-like cam with more aggressive cam timing, combined with that light flywheel, gives you that sort of brap low-end response that you really want from a car that is going to mainly be driven around the city and on the highway. Now, have I made it worse to drive off-road? No, I don't think so. I think I reduced the top end power by a little bit and traded that for more torque and a flatter curve in the places that I actually do use the car. In conclusion, I feel that I have made a wise decision by doing drivability mods to improve my Safari 911. So shout out to Marco at TLG Auto. Don't sleep on that. If you have an air-cooled Porsche and you're in Los Angeles, that is the guy, TLG Auto. Hit the link in the description for that. Thank you for joining me on this little excursion. We're back at Westside Collector Car Storage, and my next video update about one of my cars is going to be about a new car. So we'll see you then, and I'm going to park this thing indoors.